Thank you, darling. So, you've been to a football game. You've had cheerleaders who led you in a cheer. I want you to humor me. I'm going to give you 3 letters, and I'd like you to repeat them back to me, okay? So, give me an E. E. Give me an F. F. Give me a U. U. What have we got? F-U. Let's do it one more time. Give me an E. E. Give me an F. F. Give me a U. U. And what have we got? F-U. F-U. So, see, you're laughing. It's a little harsh, a bit profane. However, it got your attention. And that's why I want to talk about FU, which is embrace, forgive, unite. And it's not just a catchy phrase. It's a framework for transformation. It's a process that can take from conflict to possibility. It is also disruptive because it's disruptive. Thinking differently is disruptive. Breaking old patterns is disruptive. So before we go any further, I want you to ask yourself, am I really open to change, or am I just cheering or jeering from the sidelines? Because today, I'm not just here to talk to you. I'm actually here to challenge you. And I want to start with the walls we inherit. When I was growing up in the South, my parents had a rule. We don't take anything from white people. It wasn't about pride. It wasn't about that at all. It was about survival. They had learned through experience that every gift had strings and every opportunity could be a trap. In their world, accepting something meant owing something, and owing something meant vulnerability. And it meant giving away power to people who thought of you as less than. So that belief actually shaped me. It shaped how I saw people, how I moved through the world, and most of all, how I protected myself. It was a shield, a form of armor that helped me survive. But armor, while protective, is also limiting. It limits our movement. And at some point, I had to ask myself, what if this belief, this armor, wasn't just protecting me, but limiting me? For example, I married a Greek man. He was wonderful, kind, and loved me deeply. But somewhere deep inside of me, buried under years of conditioning, I still carried my parents' belief. We don't take anything from white people. I actually thought I'd left that behind. I thought I was free of it, but I wasn't. Because even though I didn't know it at the time, that belief was still shaping my decisions, controlling me in ways I couldn't yet see. And so I did what seemed right, what seemed safe. I left my husband, and I told myself it was for other reasons, but the truth was I felt like I should leave an interracial marriage and go back to the culture I knew. And here's the funny thing, I actually did that, and it took me over 30 years to figure out I had it all wrong. 30 years. So that's how long it took me to think fresh, to realize that I had been living out an old script, a belief passed down to me without even questioning it. Yes, I shoulda, woulda, coulda gotten there sooner, but life happened. Yet ready to open myself up enough. And then, like a ton of bricks, I had my aha moment. The bricks hit me when I was reading and writing about my North Star, Eleanor Roosevelt. And get this, I led an organization in her name. And the idea of FU never, ever occurred to me during that entire 10 years. But here I am, the big reveal. I had to embrace what I had done in leaving my first husband, forgive myself for that, and for the years lost. And then unite with the truth that love isn't about race or culture, it's about connection. FU wasn't just some idea, it became the tool I used to sort out the madness in my life. And that's why I'm here today, because if it could take me 30 years, maybe somebody out there could do it with clarity a lot faster. So how do we use FU to move from conflict to possibility? And this is the heart of the journey I want to take you on today. Whether we're talking about personal struggles, race relationships, or politics, we all face conflict. And the question is, how do we get unstuck? How do we move from a place of tension and fear to a space of growth and possibility? And the answer, I believe, lies in the power of thinking freshly, a concept championed by Eleanor Roosevelt, who said, we have to learn to think freshly about our new revolutionary world to free our intelligence from the shackles of fear. She knew that in order to truly transform, personally and collectively, we must free ourselves from the beliefs and fears that bind us. But it's also a process that requires action, a process that moves us from conflict to possibility, from fear to hope, from division to unity. And so we come to embrace, forgive, unite, or FU, a simple but powerful framework for transformation I believe can change things. So onward to FU. Embrace. What does embrace mean? When I say embrace, I don't mean accepting everything, agreeing with everything as it is. I mean looking at the world and ourselves with open eyes. It's about stepping out of our comfort zones and facing uncomfortable truths. It's about taking off that armor that we've built over time and daring to see the world as it is, not as we wish it to be. Eleanor knew this well. She wasn't born into activism. She wasn't raised to be a champion for human rights. She was a wealthy white woman living in a time when she could have chosen comfort over change. But instead of retreating into privilege, she chose to see. She chose to embrace the harsh realities of the world she lived in, traveling across the country, visiting coal miners, factory workers, and Negroes, as we were called at the time, living under segregation. She didn't just observe, she listened. She didn't stay in the world she knew. She stepped into others' worlds, embracing their struggles as her own. She faced their realities head on, even when it was uncomfortable. And that willingness to embrace reality and think freshly, even when it was painful, changed her. It transformed her from a passive observer to an active force for change. For me, embracing meant acknowledging the pain my family carried, pain rooted in a history of fear, oppression, and distrust. It meant understanding that my parents' protective stance was their way of guarding themselves against a world that treated them unfairly simply because of the color of their skin. But it also meant asking myself, was I willing to let that fear continue to define me? What's clear is that we all inherit walls. Walls built by history, by trauma, by the beliefs handed down to us. But if we want to move forward, if we want to think freshly, we have to be willing to ask the hard questions. What aspects of myself am I resisting accepting? What am I holding on to that might be holding me back? And that's the first step in FU, embrace what is. It's not easy, but it is necessary if we want to move forward. It's about stepping into that discomfort, facing the reality of where we are, and acknowledging the limitations we've placed on ourselves. The second step in FU is forgiveness. Now, forgiveness is the hardest part of transformation because it asks us to release the grip the past has on us. It doesn't mean forgetting. It doesn't mean excusing bad behavior or pretending that harm didn't happen. It means choosing not to let the past define our future. Eleanor understood this deeply. She had to forgive perhaps more than anyone of her time. She had to forgive her husband, who betrayed her with someone she called a close friend and her own daughter. She could have let bitterness consume her, but instead, she chose to transform that pain into purpose. But she didn't just forgive Franklin, she forgave herself for staying in a relationship that caused her pain, for the self-doubt that had held her back for years. And in that forgiveness, she set herself free. For me, forgiveness has been a continuous journey. I had to forgive not just others, but myself. I had to forgive myself for internalizing the fears my parents passed to me that led to me breaking up a lovely family. I had to forgive myself for the times I allowed fear to shape my choices, for the moments when I let the world's divisions keep me apart from others. Holding on to fear and forgiveness doesn't protect us. It doesn't help us move forward. Instead, it anchors us in the past. Forgiveness isn't just about letting somebody else off the hook. It's about letting ourselves off the hook. It's about saying, I will not be imprisoned by the past any longer. So I ask you, what are you holding on to that no longer serves you? Who do you need to forgive? Not because they deserve it, but because you deserve peace. The final step in the FU process is unite. And that is to unite the aspects of ourselves that we've chosen to embrace and forgive. Eleanor said, friendship with one's self is all important. And this highlights the necessity of internal harmony. By acknowledging and accepting our imperfections, we transform self-criticism into self-acceptance, fostering a more authentic self. For me, uniting these aspects meant breaking free from inherited cycles of self-criticism and isolation. It required engaging with parts of myself I once viewed negatively, allowing me to honor my past without being confined by it. By uniting within, we can achieve internal harmony, which enables us to connect more genuinely with others and actually affect positive change in the world. For me, unity also meant breaking the cycles I had inherited, and it meant engaging with people I once saw as the other. It meant realizing that I could, in fact, honor my past. Embrace, forgive, unite. This is the transformative power of FU. And it's not just a mindset shift. It's a process that can actually move us from conflict to possibility. As I said, none of this is easy. It's hard to embrace what's uncomfortable. It's hard to forgive those who have hurt us and ourselves. And it's hard to unite with people we've been taught to fear or distrust. Eleanor says the future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams. And I believe that, but I also believe that the future truly belongs to those who are willing to embrace, forgive, unite, because transformation begins with each one of us. So are you ready to think freshly? Are you ready to move from conflict to possibility? Whether you think you are or you think you're not, I'm going to ask you, let's just give it one more cheer, okay? Give me an E. E. Give me an F. F. Give me a U. U. And what have we got? F. F-U. Thank you.